Welcome to the Armed Forces Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Andre Haynes. Today we have another great interview in store for you. We have a member of the Armed Forces Chamber and a personal friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Crystal Eller. Hi, Crystal. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us today and to spend some time with us talking about your profession and your latest endeavor.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to everyone, especially in this climate of COVID where we have a hard time getting out. I want to make sure that everyone has access to me and can get to know me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, let's start with these questions because I'm anxious to hear your answers. So, Crystal, why did you join the Armed Forces Chamber of Commerce?
I joined the Armed Forces Chamber of Commerce because my father served. He was in the Air Force for 20 years, retired Master Sergeant. And I have several friends that are veterans. And I just really thought it was such a great idea. It meant so much to me that there's a chamber out there that's specifically focused on people who have served and their families in order to help them, manage their lives, have their own business, and sort of, be the commander of their own destinies, rather than, so often the skills that people learn when they're in the armed forces and they come back out into the civilian world are just wasted because the people that are hiring them don't appreciate what they can do, or it doesn't transfer well. So when I found out there was a group out there, a chamber that actually supports these people and helps them open their own businesses where they can take advantage of the skills that they learned when they were out there sacrificing for their country, I think it just hit me as an amazing idea, and I want to do everything I can to support it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Currently, what is your profession?
I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney here in Las Vegas for 27 years. When I got out of law school, we moved out here from Chicago. I took the bar. I worked for someone else for about a year and then pretty much went out on my own after that. I did work in an office where I leased space with another attorney who had been here for many years. And so he ended up being a mentor and taught me so much. I mean, I could not have done it without him. And because of him and because of his support, I was able to open my own law office very early in my career. And in 2008, I was appointed by the city council to be the first traffic commissioner, which is a judicial position in traffic court for the city of Las Vegas. So I closed my law office and I did that for 2.5 years. And it was very eye-opening. It was an amazing experience because you can do so much as an attorney to help people. But when you're on that bench and you have the decisions and all of the factors that go into making those decisions, what happened, why it happened, those kinds of things, it just really reminds you of what an obligation that judges have to make correct decisions and to do their best, to be fair. And it was just really, even though it was traffic court, it was just a very eye-opening experience. So I did resign, reopened my law office, and that was in 2010. So I've been doing criminal defense the entire time I've had my law firm. I also in 2010 started doing foreclosure rescue work, as it's sometimes called, foreclosure mitigation. And then I became a Supreme Court appointed mediator for the foreclosure mediation program in the state of Nevada, which was the leading program in the country. And many states modeled their programs after ours when we got ours up and running. And between being a mediator and also representing homeowners with banks trying to get either modifications or what we call exiting with dignity by doing a short sale instead of having the house foreclosed, or doing a cash for keys, that kind of thing. So I helped hundreds of clients, most of them save their homes and be able to not have to move their children and uproot their families. So that was a very difficult, sad time, but it was a wonderful time that I got to help so many people do that. So I do real estate work, foreclosure work, criminal defense, and I also do civil litigation. And one of the areas I do is construction defect. So sometimes it's when the houses or commercial buildings were originally built and there were things wrong, you know, corners cut, so to speak. And then sometimes it's way after the fact where a construction company has come into the neighborhood and caused some damage to existing homes or structures. And then we have to make sure that they're held accountable for the oversights that they made. I mean, people make mistakes, construction companies make mistakes, and that happens. And that's just the way the world is. You know, the issue is after you realize that you've made that mistake and somebody calls it to your attention, you know, are you going to own up to it? You're going to try to make the person whole that you hurt.
Wow, wonderful.
And here I am.
Congratulations on the appointment from
Thank
the
you.
city. And also thanks for doing those great things for the people who lost their homes back in 2010. I remember the market, you know, what happened. And, you know, unfortunately, it seems like that might happen again, you know, considering the pandemic and people being unemployed and businesses closed.
Yes, it's a concern. I mean, we do have some protections, obviously, with the rent protections that are in place, and even legislation that's gone in with regard to stopping banks from foreclosing. But honestly, my concern is what is it going to look like when we start switching back? Okay, because those lenders are owed that money. Those those landlords are owed the rent. And I think just our legislators need to be very careful to have a soft landing on that, where, you know, they're maybe even through a mediation program like we did for the foreclosure crisis, where they're required to come to the table and work out a manageable repayment plan so that the homeowners can begin paying their mortgages and their rent again moving forward, because now I've gotten my job back or whatever. But what they owe in arrears, you know, can't just be suddenly due in 30 days. You know, not going to have $8,000 sitting in your account when you just got your job back. So that's my concern about that. And I'm sure as great of a job as our legislators did in jumping right on this COVID crisis and protecting the people and, you know, making sure that they could stay in their homes, even whether they're tenants or whether they're homeowners, I have every confidence that they're going to do a great job making that soft landing. But that would be my only concern.
Okay. Now, recently you filed for public office. Tell us about the office and why you filed.
Okay, I sure will. So I'm running for district court judge in Department 19. District court covers all felony charges in criminal cases that happen in the entire county of Clark County, and they also hear all civil cases above $15,000. So basically, it's the highest court before you reach the appellate court level. And it hears the most serious cases, both civil and criminal. This particular department hears both civil and criminal, and they also hear construction defect, which is one of the reasons I'm uniquely qualified for this department. And I really had been thinking about running for district court for a long time. And part of the reason is because when I was a traffic judge, so many people, a traffic commissioner, so many attorneys, and even defendants, their families, I mean, they would say to me, you need to seek higher office. You know, sometimes the attorneys would come and ask if they could, you know, approach the bench, and they would just say, you do such a good job in here. You clearly care about the litigants, you care about the attorneys, their time, you're considerate, you're thoughtful, you're hardworking, you know what's going on, you've read everything when the litigants come in here, and you need to run for higher office. You need to run for district court, because the work ethic that you have and the skills that you have and how much you care and how much empathy you have for everyone in the courtroom is something that needs to be being implemented in these bigger cases. So that never left me. And after I got the law office up and running and got it on its own 2 feet again, I continued to think about running. And I did run for a municipal court about 3 years ago and lost there. But I think that is because I'm supposed to be in district court. I think I'm supposed to be hearing these really important cases that are, you know, that have a lot of difficult nuances and that need somebody who is really going to make sure they understand what's going on, make sure they work as hard as they need to work to read everything carefully and put that time in that the litigants deserve. You know, this is their day in court. It's finally here. And they deserve a judge that's going to care about them and their case and their time and take the time to make sure they know the law and they apply it correctly to the facts that are in front of them. I don't think that's happening right now, especially in this department. And I want to change that. I think the citizens of Clark County deserve better.
If elected, how would you best serve defendants who appear in front of you?
That's very consistent with the things I've just been talking about. The defendants are in criminal cases, and there in every case is going to be what we call mitigating factors, which is other things other than the actual alleged crime itself, or even involved in that. You know, cases where, say, it's a group of people that robbed somebody or robbed a liquor store or something like that. Well, one of them got cold feet and decided to leave before anything really bad happened, or called the police and, you know, turned the other people in or whatever, tried to stop it for some reason. You know, those are called mitigating factors, or even after the fact if something changes. Other things that are mitigating factors can be that person's life. You know, what kind of opportunities have they had? Have they had to struggle? What personal challenges have they had? What crises have they had in their lives? Oftentimes we'll see someone that never had a record, that was doing well in school, like a young person, and then they kind of just drop off the deep end, they start committing crime. Well, to me, that's a red flag to say, wait a minute, you know, what, did something happen? And then often you'll find out a parent died or something like that. And that mitigating type of stuff needs to be taken into consideration. You'll often hear about the aggravating circumstances, which is the opposite of that. Oh, they were really violent. They used a gun. They beat up one of the store people in the store for no reason. It was you know, worse than it needed to be. Those are aggravating circumstances that also need to be taken into consideration. But I think that a lot of focus, because it is the prosecutor's job to make sure those aggravating factors are brought into view. And I think that oftentimes, and again, especially in this particular department, the aggravating factors are given more weight than the mitigating factors. And one of the best things I can do for a defendant in the courtroom is to make sure that I evaluate, again, know the law very well, apply it correctly to the facts, and take in everything into consideration and give it the proper weight. Mitigating factors and aggravating factors. So it's all has to be considered together. It's not in a vacuum. It's not an island. You know, these are human beings. These are people that made mistakes, and that's what they are. They're not monsters.
Share some advice with aspiring attorneys and judges.
Pardon?
Oh, share some advice with aspiring attorneys and judges.
Oh, that's one of my favorite things to do. I mentor people, young attorneys. I've had several interns in my office. I kind of try to train them up. And one of the best things I can say is, you know what, you've made it this far, whether you're a legal assistant, a paralegal, or an attorney that's just graduated law school, just took the bar, waiting to take the bar. You know, you've made it this far. You've invested in yourself. You've invested in your future, and you need to trust that education and believe in yourself. You know, when you first get into this system, it's overwhelming. You walk into court, everybody else already seems to know what they're doing, and they're all know each other. They're talking to each other, and it's this busy place, and you can feel overwhelmed. So just go back down to your foundation, trust that, you know, you have what it takes to do what you need to do to make your dreams in this industry come true. And just don't give up on yourself, don't lose your confidence, and definitely work very hard, work as hard as it takes. Neither of my parents even graduated high school, much less went to college. And when I decided I was going to go to college, they had no financial ability to help me. And I worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs. in order to pay for college and pay for my living expenses and put myself through college with no debt. So working hard is going to be critical, and there's no substitute for it. But don't get overwhelmed. I say, look down, not up, because if you start college, especially in the situation I did with no money and no knowledge of how any of it works, and you look up at the top of that mountain and you're like, oh my gosh, 4 years of college, 3 years of law school, I'm never going to make it up there. But if you look down and you just look at the one step in front of you, and you just take that step that day, and the next step is for tomorrow, you're like, yeah, I can do that. I can step one step. And that's the key to making it. Believe in yourself. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Take it one step at a time, one day at a time. And definitely you have to be willing to work hard.
Wow. Any last remarks?
Just thank you. Thank you. And to the chamber, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to talk with everyone. My website is crystal4judge.com. Please go on the website, learn more about me. My phone number's on there. I am very accessible. I am available to anyone who wants to talk to me. Personally, I know that voting for judges is difficult because hopefully, unless you're an attorney or a judge, you're not in court. And most of us aren't in court, and that's a great thing. So it's difficult to know who to choose. And I want to win this election because I'm the best judge for that courtroom. I will be the best judge for that courtroom. And in order for me to win for that reason, people need to be able to get to know me.
Wonderful. Well, Crystal, again, thank you so much, first for being a member of the Armed Forces Chamber and being a great advocate for veterans. And especially thank you for your time today to talk with us and, share with us a day in your life in the shoes of an attorney, of a candidate for a district court judge. We wish you the best and success in that, and we'll definitely share your information with the membership about upcoming fundraisers and things like that you have.
Yes, that's going to be great. Yeah, I have a fundraiser next Tuesday. It's coming up. And yes. I have 3.5 acres. It's all going to be outside, so there's plenty of rooms for social distancing. We are going to abide by all of the governor's mandates, and it's going to be a good, safe way to come and enjoy yourself, get out of the house.
Wonderful. Well, I know it's going to be spectacular. I plan to be there, so I will see you there. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and doing this interview and sharing about yourself with the viewers.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're welcome. Bye now.
Bye-bye.